दुनिया में
Yes, Aishwarya, we can see the screen. Yeah, it's visible. Can you scroll down the slides, Aishwarya? Yeah, that's fine. It's working. You can close your presentation.
No, I think we just saw that, so you can stop here.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir. Dr. Chopra, sir, you are audible, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to confirm. I'm here. I'll be here for another 15, 20 minutes, right? I think that will serve your purpose. Is it fine? Hello.
Yes, sir. We could hear your voice was faint, sir.
Hello. Am I audible? Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Kudua, sir?
Yes, yes, present.
Yes, sir.
Sir, good evening, sir.
I am audible now.
Yes, sir. Very much. I'm
Good
just
evening,
seeing.
sir. Good sir. Good evening. Good evening, Animesh sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Lakul, sir.
Namaskar.
Lalita, madam, would you please just check your audio and video?
Hello.
Kudua, sir, I'll mute your audio for a minute.
Yeah.
Good evening, Dr. Animesh.
Good evening, Prasad sir. Good evening. Subha ma'am.
Hi, good evening, Dr. Nimesh.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. Good evening. Good to see you.
Hi.
Yes, you are audible and visible. Yes, we're
Yeah.
just checking. Dr. Lalita, could we just check your audio video?
Good evening.
You muted yourself again.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, but very faint.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes. Dr. Abhishek? Dr. Abhishek? Is Dr. Abhishek around here? Harish sir?
Yeah, fine.
We start, it's time.
Yeah, we shall start.
Yes, sir.
Hello, good evening, Harish sir.
Sir, good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Prasad sir.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Very nice.
Kindly tell your friends to we shall start, Dr. Animesh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure. I was just checking with Dr. Abhishek, the fourth panelist. So I think we'll start. So good evening, everyone. And it's a pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of IMA Karnataka State Branch, the Medical Education Subcommittee, and also the Junior Association of Resident Doctors Association, as well as various other organizations together. And we are here today with another case presentation for postgraduates. This time it's community medicine. And we have a very interesting family case study presentation. So with a little background about family case study, how it differs is that instead of a hospital case here, we have a case in the community where the case is taken in the community and the background, socioeconomic background, as well as the environmental background is taken into account. And that's what is going to be presented. So that's the idea today. And we have an exciting panel lined up today. So with that, let me request Dr. Prasad, SM Prasad, the State Honorary Secretary of IMA KSB, to have the rendering of the IMA prayer and flag salutation. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Animesh. IMA prayer. May everybody be happy. May everybody be healthy. May everybody be free from pain. May everybody be free from sorrow. May we be the healing cure beyond every greed and lure. Flag salutation. We, the members of Indian Medical Association, stand here to salute our national flag. Its honor and glory shall be our light and strength, and its course shall be our force. We pledge our allegiance to it, and realizing our responsibilities as the accredited members of this national organization, we swear we will dedicate everything in our power to see it fly in the Committee of Nations. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka, long live IMA. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Really appreciate you and President Sir Kudwa sir for being there for all the programs of Medical Education Subcommittee, Academic Subcommittee, and other programs as well. Thank you, sir. May I now request our Chairperson of the Medical Education Subcommittee of IMA Karnataka State Branch, Dr. Harisha Delantabettu, to kindly address and also welcome the delegates.
Thank you, Dr. Animesh. Indian Medical Association Karnataka State Branch, in association with the Medical Education Subcommittee, conducting series of educative programs for undergraduates, postgraduate, as well as faculty from all medical colleges across the state and country as well. Respected President, sir, Indian Medical Association Karnataka State Branch, the President-elect Dr. Lakul sir, the Honorary State Secretary Dr. SM Prasad sir, the past IMA KSB presidents, Dr. Karigannur, Dr. Yogan Reddy and others, and all the state working committee members of IMAKSB, the treasurer of Indian Medical Association Karnataka branch, Dr. Karunakar sir. I appreciate presence of Dr. Harivansh Chopra sir, who is the chairperson of today's program. He is the national president of Indian Association of Preventive and Social Medicine for this year, for the current year. He is the former professor and HOD Community Medicine, LLRM Medical College, Meerut. I welcome you, sir. I also welcome today's panelist, Dr. Sonu Hangma Subba, Madam, Professor and HOD, Department of Community Medicine and Family Medicine, AIMS, Bhubaneswar, Orissa. I welcome you, Madam. I welcome Dr. Lalita, Madam, Professor and HOD, Community Medicine, Mesc Medical College, Bangalore. I heartily welcome to this program, Madam. I welcome Dr. Abhishek Rawat, Professor, Department of Community Medicine, Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Medical Sciences, Sevagram, Maharashtra. I welcome you, sir. I also welcome the subcommittee chairman and members from Karnataka Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Tejas and his team, who are very instrumental in publishing all these activities in their group and cooperating with us. I also welcome Junior Doctors Network, JDN subcommittee, Dr. Arjun, Dr. Namrata and others. I also welcome the Medical Student Network Committee Chairman, Dr. Jyoti, Dr. Mithun and others. They are supporting us throughout this program. We have been conducting this program for the past 2 to 3 months, every week almost. We first concentrated on undergraduate students. We conducted medicine, surgery, OBG, pediatrics and all case discussions. And I think it's very useful to those students who just wrote their exams and even they attended the clinical examination, and the feedback was very good. Soon after that, we concentrated on postgraduates. We finished medicine, surgery, OBG and psychiatry, and now we are into community medicine, family case study presentation. I'm very grateful to Dr. Animesh Jain for cooperating with us, for being instrumental in conducting this program, contacting all his people throughout the country, across the country. And I'm very grateful to Dr. Animesh Jain and all the members of the our medical education subcommittee. I welcome all the committee members and the digital committee as well. I welcome everybody at this juncture. I don't want to. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Aishwarya Gopal. I think she is the one who is going to present today's program. Second year PG Community Medicine from Mesc Medical College, Bangalore. Thank you for being with us on this day. I welcome one and all. I hand over the stage to Dr. Animesh Jain. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We have Dr. Suresh Kudwa, Dr. Katil Suresh Kudwa, sir, who is the president of IMA Karnataka State Branch. May I request you to kindly address us, sir? Sir, you are muted, sir. You have not unmuted.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Indeed, we had a feast of various clinical case presentations and medical education programs for last 3 months. And today we are eager to have PG case presentation in community medicine, that is family case study presentation. Moderator being Dr. Animesh Jain, chairperson being Dr. Harivansh Chopra, and panelists being Dr. Sonu, Dr. Lalita, and Dr. Abhishek Rawat. Indeed, members of IMAKSB, mainly undergraduates and postgraduate students, are benefited much because of this medical education committee programs. And we are bringing color to all this program, and today's program is very much awaited by all of us. So without wasting time, let us go to the program itself. Over to Animesh Jain.
Thank you, sir. I will just quickly introduce the panelists to the gathering. Just give me a moment and I will share. Seems to be some. So we have actually a very eminent panel with us today. And let me just quickly give you an idea of our panel. Since the PowerPoint is taking time, I will just request you to wait for a minute. All right, so there it is. I hope you can see the screen. So we have with us, we are very actually fortunate to have Dr. Harivansh Chopra, sir, who's the National President of Indian Association of Preventive and Social Medicine. In fact, sir's tenure as president begins from today, and sir has been kind enough to consent and be with us. And he's been very, very actively associated with academics. He's been also into the associations and the different associations, including the IAP, that is Indian Academy of Pediatrics, because he's also qualified in pediatrics. And sir has been a president of IAPSM, the Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand chapter from last year till this year. He's being scientific secretary of the conference that was held in 2008, committee members of various committees. He's been very actively involved even in being panel of different committees. And he had also been a speaker for TED Talkathon, which was on COVID-19 for Southeast Asia. Sir has been a very passionate teacher. His YouTube videos as well as the slide shares are widely appreciated, some of them running into thousands of views. So sir is here with us. Welcome you, sir. We have with us Dr. Sonu Hangama Subba. Professor. Yes, sir.
I heard Dr. Chopra sir telling that I'll be there only for 15 minutes. And if that is the case, he can speak to chairman's address.
Yes, sir.
Speaks and then he can go ahead. We can go
sir,
ahead.
Yes, actually, sir is traveling. Just that's what. So he may not have network. That's what he just called me.
Let him speak a few words.
Sure, sir.
Sir Chopra sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
You are audible, sir.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Dr. Animesh, the dignitaries of IMAKSB and the Medical Education Subcommittee, as well as IMA JDM Network. This is a wonderful initiative which you have taken. And I think throughout my career, I've never seen this kind of a virtual presentation on family study, which is going to be done today. And yes, family study is a very, very important tool as far as our subject is concerned, because it's not only cover the case, but it also covers the various pathogenic phases of the disease causation. So I'll not be talking more about it because Dr. Aishwarya will be presenting the case. So I'm really delighted, but unfortunately, because of some time constraint, I will not be here for a longer period of time. Of course, I wish to be, but then that is not the case today. So my best wishes are there, and I hope that this case presentation will be a fantastic one, and this will give new insight to all of you. And definitely, it is going to be a very, very, very good interactive session. And I know that it is going to be transmitted live on YouTube. And rest assured that as and when I get time, I'll be going to the session. And I congratulate Dr. Aishwarya, because you need to have a lot of courage to come and present on a virtual platform. So with these words, I thank the organizers for inviting me, and I wish them all the best, and all the best to Aishwarya. I think the Aishwarya is going to do a great job. Thank you, Animesh, and thank you, the dignitaries of IMAKSB. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'll move forward and introduce the other panelists. So we have Dr. Sonu Hangama Subba. She is the professor and head of the Department of Community Medicine and Family Medicine, as it is called in the AIIMS. So she is at AIIMS Bhubaneswar, and she's had a very illustrious career which has spanned for 23 years. She's also been between as the surveillance medical officer in WHO and Government of India, the polio eradication project. She's also done a senior residency at Lady Hardinge and Maulana Azad Medical College, very prestigious colleges of India. She's had varied experience, and she was, in fact, I had been fortunate to be a colleague for, I think, about 4 years with ma'am when she was at the KMC Mangalore before she went on to join AIMS Bhubaneswar in 2012. She is the editor-in-chief of Indian Journal of Community Medicine, Community and Family Medicine. She's conducted lots of research as PI and co-PI, published and presented extensively. She's a life member of various associations, including the Indian Association of Preventive and Social Medicine, Indian Public Health Association, International Epidemiology Association, and many other organizations. She's been a recipient of Good Teacher Award and also been a fellow of FAMER as well as IMSA. So that's in brief, and welcome you, ma'am. We also have Dr. Lalita, who's professor and HOD of MS Ramaiah Medical College, Bangalore, and it's her PG, that is Dr. Aishwarya, who's presenting today. And as Chopra sir said, it's actually a lot of courage of PG that comes and presents, and it's really nice that we have a PG who's presenting, because that's how this becomes a meaningful exercise. So Dr. Lalita has been a alumnus, both UG and PG, from Kempegowda Institute of Medical Sciences. Her research areas are healthcare waste management, geriatrics, and infectious diseases. She's implemented lots of research projects, including those projects funded by the ICMR, the State TB Cell, the Rajiv Gandhi University, and various other projects. She's been the coordinator of the United Nations Development Organization funded project, environmentally sound management of medical waste in India, and that being one of her core interest areas for her. And she's got lots of publications. She's been awarded with the Young Scientist Award in 2004, the Catch Millennium Award from Karnataka Association of Community Health in 2004. Also been awarded the Member of the Academy by the National Academy of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. She is the coordinator of Healthcare Waste Management Cell and member of HICC Committee and program in charge of the certificate course of the Healthcare Waste Management by IGNO. And in the recent COVID pandemic, she was deputed to the State Surveillance Unit for COVID-19. She was the member of the SOP Committee and on COVID by the government of Karnataka, and she's also one of the co-investigators for the serial cross-sectional Sentinel survey for estimating the COVID-19 burden in Karnataka, which was completed in October 2020. During the pandemic, actually, they hosted the 32nd state level annual conference of Karnataka Association of Community Health in December 2020. And the theme of the conference was redefining public health, COVID-19 and beyond. And she was the chairperson of the same. So welcome you, ma'am. We have Dr. Abhishek Rao from the Western India, that is Professor of Community Medicine from Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Medical Sciences, Sevagram in Wardha. And Dr. Abhishek, again, is a very, very energetic and enthusiastic person. He's been working as a community physician, teacher, and researcher since 2009. He's been associated with several community-based research projects and clinical trials. The major scientific fields of interest for him are community-based participatory research, vaccine trials, early childhood development, and health system research. In fact, I've had first-hand experience of being there and seeing some of these things in action when twice or thrice I visited Sevagram, and we had been taken to community where this was shown, where he was actively participating. His major achievements have been contributed to Aram model of early childhood development that is being scaled across Maharashtra. He's also contributed to drafting community preparedness checklist for against the COVID-19 pandemic, which was accepted by the Ministry of Panchayat Raj, Government of India. He's also been instrumental in drafting the SOP on COVID-19 containment and management in peri-urban, rural, and tribal areas that was accepted by, again, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. And he's been a lead investigator for the ICMR Advanced Center for Clinical Trials as part of the Indian Clinical Trial and Education Network, INTENT. He's also been awarded the FAMER Fellowship from 2020 to 2022. And though he is not mentioned, 2019 in Shimla IAPSM conference, he was also awarded the best preventive and social medicine service project. The publications are more than 40, and then he's also authored chapters as well as modules on training. Last but not least, we have Dr. Aishwarya, who's the presenter for today. She's a second-year postgraduate from MS Ramaya Medical College, Bengaluru. And she's completed her MBBS from Pondicherry Institute of Medical Sciences in 2009, or from the 2009 batch she is. She was working for 5 years after internship, both government and private sector. And currently she's a second-year PG in community medicine at MS Ramaya. Her interests include cinema, music, and cooking. So with that, welcome Dr. Aishwarya. We are looking forward to hearing from you. I would now invite Dr. Aishwarya to start her presentation. Dr. Aishwarya, would you please share your slides? Please make it into a slideshow, Dr. Aishwarya. Yes, you may please proceed. And I'm very happy to see that Zoom is full today and we have a lot of viewers on YouTube as well. The last I saw was 96 on YouTube. So that's quite a good attendance. So all the best, and Dr. Aishwarya, over to you.
Good evening, sir, and good evening one and all over there. Am I audible first of all?
Yes,
can
you
somebody
are. Yes,
respond to me? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much. First of all, I am Dr. Aishwarya Vigopal, a second-year postgraduate from the Department of Community Medicine, MS Ramaya Medical College, Bangalore. To start with, I would like to thank my department for choosing me for presenting a family case study. And this wouldn't be possible unless I have a very cooperative postgraduates, colleagues who are supporting me in each and every day and help me in proceeding with this study. So today I'm presenting a family study with preschool index case. To start with, I have taken this case from, sorry, one second. One second, my slide is not moving. One second. Sorry for the inconvenience.
No issues. Just try, and if it doesn't work, just try to reshare. Just go out and then reshare in case it is not moving. Just try that.
Sorry for that inconvenience. Okay, today I've taken my case from a urban slum, from an urban slum, which is located in a place called as Mohan Kumar Nagar. This Mohan Kumar Nagar or MK Nagar belongs to our urban health training practice area. And we have our UPHC over there, which is called as Madhikere UPHC. This UPHC caters to a population of about 58,256 with 30,728 households, 8 Anganwadis, of which 7 of them are ICDS and 1 is being run by an NGO. There are 16 schools, which includes 14 private and 2 government. There are 3 slums that include Munishwar slum, Akyapa garden, as well as Purnapurna slum. So I'm going to the next slide.
Dr. Aishwarya, is there a
yes, sir,
issue?
the slide thing is not working. It's now shifting to the next slide.
Okay, shall I share the slides since I have the slide share?
Okay, yeah, sure. Sir.
Give me a moment. I will just share those slides. please let me know if you can see the slides, and please keep telling me, and I will
Yes, sir, I can see the slides. Yeah.
Okay, so where are we? Which slide?
Yeah.
I mean, where are we here?
Back slide, last one.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, thank you, sir. This is actually an image of a Mathikere UPHC. This is, as I've told, I have taken a case in an urban slum which is located, which is coming underneath this UHTC. So next slide. As I've told, there are 3 slums coming under Mathikere UHTC, one of which is MK Nagar slum, which is also called as Akhyapa Garden. So this is where I have taken the case from. And I'm just putting up this photo so that you can get a view. I know this is being an online platform. It's not possible to be like up to the mark and be realistic. So I'm trying in a way to be realistic. So we can see the first image. That's a way that is approach road towards the house where I've taken the case from. As we can see, the external environment of the house is not that healthy, as and even the way it was actually concrete approach road. But as you can see at the end of it, there are certain some obstruction in the road because of some piling up which is being done. It's because of some new houses are being constructed on the other end, and they are providing water supply lines from the government to those houses for which those being dug up. On the right hand side, the image is the house where I have taken the case from. That is where the school child is standing, and the surroundings or the premises of the house is still not sanitary, or I can say it is not that healthy environment in and around the house. So next slide. Okay, thank you. As I've said, this house is located in an urban slum, but this house is located in such a way that it is having all feasible, accessible in a locality. For example, you can see there's a blue color building that's a store, which is present right next to the house, so they can access their requirements from that store. And this house is just half a kilometer away from the main road. So even for any medical, where you can see where actually we have 3 to 4 private clinics also. So see, if that family has this health seeking behavior, it is well and good for them to approach in case of any emergency. On the right is the house. As you can see, the entrance to the house is narrow and dark. And that is the index case who is standing right in front of me. And I'll be talking about him in the coming slides. So next slide. So this is the family composition of the family where I have taken the case from. The head of the family is Bobulpati, is a 26-year-old male, not literate, and he's a BPM auto driver by profession, and he earns about 13,000 per month. And his wife, Vatsala, she's a 23-year-old female, studied till 10th standard, housewife by occupation. She is the informant too. And soon after the marriage, they both started living in this house. They have 2 children. First one is the eldest son named Arun, who is 3-year-old, and he's my index case. And second one is the younger son, Varun, who is 1-year-old. Along with this family resides the sister of the head of the family, Chaitra, who is a 25-year-old female who has graduated till 2nd PUC, and she is unmarried. So this is a joint family with 5 members. As I have said, his family, he is the only earning member, and his monthly income is 13,000 per month. I can actually calculate the per capita income, which is coming around 2,600 per month. And from this slide, I can also make out which is who all are the vulnerable group. As we know, we have 2 children who are under 5. Arun and Varun, both of them are belonging to the vulnerable group, as well as 2 females who are in the reproductive age group, who are also belonging to the vulnerable group. So next slide, please. So as I have said, Bobulpati, being an BPMB auto driver, earning 30,000 per month and not literate, his family belongs to grade 4 upper lower socioeconomic status according to modified Kuppusamy classification 2021. And when I was inquiring them about the card facilities which they have, they said they only have an Aadhaar card. They don't have a ration card or an APL card. So considering the expenditure status, I have found out that they have a monthly total expenditure of about 8,015, of which the major portion, that is at about 62.3% is contributed, is being spent on food. While electricity and medical or the medical needs consume about 12.47% of the income or the income. You would have noticed that I have put up a slide telling remaining amount of after expenditure is 4,985. This doesn't mean that that amount belongs to their savings or that is their savings. But instead, when I was inquiring about that, they were telling me a reason that their father has made up some debts for which he, being the head of family, is paying off the debts, and the father is not living with them. He expired about 20 years back in another house because he was separated from the family. So this amount, a major portion of this 4,985 was spent as interest or given as interest for the debt that the father has created by the head of family. So next slide, please. Coming to the material possessions, this house has a television, a washing machine, and the head of the family has an Android phone. Even the wife of the head of the family, Vatsala, has a phone, but that's not an Android phone. Coming to the vital events and family planning, the vital events, if I'm taking for the past 5 years, one was the wedding that has happened in 2018, and followed by in the birth of 2 children and their naming ceremonies. If I have to say about family planning, when I inquired or took a proper history, they were aware about the family planning programs, but they were not practicing it and not willing to practice then. But then when I asked about the future plans, they said they haven't, she's not sterilized, but she's planning to get sterilized, like undergo the sterilization techniques, because they have some family function coming up. Soon after that, they will do it. Next slide. Coming to the external environment, on the left-hand side, you'll get the images when I speak simultaneously. As I've said, this house is located in an urban slum in a non-accident prone area. As you can see in this image, the approach road is concreted, and also the street lighting, you can, evident from this image, there are electrical posts with street lights, and they're functional too. So there is adequate street lighting of the streets present. Stray animals, as such, dogs, cats, and even cows were luring around the streets. Vector breeding sites are present. As you can see, there are drains on either side of the street, of which one side drains are closed, but then due to some renovation works which are going on that side, these drains are being left open, the lids are not being placed. So this image shows the street light as well as the overhead tank. I'll come to that. Next slide. Coming to the internal environment, this house has 1 bedroom, a hall, and a kitchen. And they are residing in their own house for 26 years. This is a Pakka house and not attached. This is a floor map or the map of the house. Next slide. Residential environment. To talk about the residential environment, first I'll be starting with the house structure. As you can see from the image, the house walls are being made of bricks, and they are cemented and painted. So the walls are Pakka. As you can see, the roof is made up of asbestos, and the floor is Pakka because it is cemented. So according to me, the inference of the house is that it is according to the house structure, it's a Pakka house. Coming to the ventilation and lighting, there are only 2 windows in the house, one being in the bedroom and one being in the kitchen. The one in the bedroom is not being open. So there is no cross ventilation in the bedroom as such. Coming to the hall, there are no rooms. There are no windows. There are no cross ventilation present over there. As well as coming to the kitchen, the one window what they have there is being used as a smoke outlet also. So ventilation is inadequate, cross ventilation is not present, and the lighting is inadequate. So since there is no adequate natural lighting, they have put up artificial lights in all the rooms. So as an inference, I can say there is inadequate lighting and ventilation with respect to this house. Coming to the number of people residing in the house, as I have said, this is a 1-bedroom hall and kitchen. There are the living space includes the hall as well as the bedroom. As I've mentioned, there are 5 members residing. In the hall itself, 4 members, including the head of the family, the wife of head of the family, as well as the 2 children are sleeping in the hall, while the sister of the head of the family secures a bedroom. So considering the fact that the number of people residing per room is high, there is overcrowding present, but there is no signs of any psychosocial overcrowding. The total floor space area is 80 square feet, of which I can say there are 2 children who both of them are less than 10 years. So I can consider them as only half units. So summing them up, I can get a total of 4 units. And thereby, if I have to find out the per capita floor space, 80 divided by 4, sorry, I'll get 20 square feet. Next slide, sir. Talking about the kitchen, they have a separate kitchen. As I've said before, the window that you can see in the image, that is being used as a smoke outlet. There is no proper ventilation or cross ventilation present. The smoke outlet is present, but sometimes, for example, on the day when I first visited the family, that time it was closed. For the second visit that I've done on yesterday, that was open. So I asked them, they said even occasionally they leave it open. So I don't think that even that is being used as a smoke outlet, like adequate usage of it as a smoke outlet was not there. The type of fuel present used is LPG, and the kitchen had a separate platform where to provide or to avoid fire accidents, as well as for the ergonomics also. The raw food will be stored in plastic covers and in plastic lids, plastic containers with the lids, while the cooked food will be stored in tins with lid. But I have to mention one thing, when I went over there, I saw they're actually maintaining proper sanitary hygiene, and the place was kept good in my first visit. But sorry, for the second visit, in the photo, you can say it is not that clean. And they had a separate sink for the washing of utensils. So as for me, as an inference, I'll say, except for the ventilation and the smoke outlet, the kitchen is non-hazardous. Coming to the water supply, to talk about the bathing facility, first I'll say they have a bathroom which can be used as a bathroom as well as a latrine with an Indian water seal type of latrine. This is attached to the room. And the washing facility that they have is a washing machine, which is being kept inside the bedroom itself. And the outlet of that washing machine is being provided to the external environment, to the backside of the house, to a pit. The source of drinking water supply is a piped water supply that the government provides. And this piped water, which is coming from the main channel, will be pumped to the overhead tank with the help of a motor. And as and when required, they will run the motor and secure water and use the water. So method of drinking water collection is also directly from the tanks as and when required. The method of drinking water storage was that was practiced there was like they'll collect the water just before consuming it. They will boil it and store this boiled water in steel vessels with a closed lid. So can I have the images, please? So the first image shows this is a connection from the government line. As you can see, there's a blue ZUM, which is just present next to it. So the water, that is a pipe water supply, water coming through this pipe water supply will be collected in this ZUM. A portion of it will be collected in this ZUM because they have a pipe on the external, like on the near the entrance of the house. So they can use that water for washing their feet before entering the house. And the remaining major portion is being pumped up into the overhead tank and stored over there. Next image, sir. So this is an image of the water tank, which is being overhead water tank, which is placed with an outlet which is being placed outside. Next image. And this is an image of the bathing facility, a latrine, as you can see. And to talk about the ventilation, sorry, I couldn't get a picture of the ventilation in the bathroom, latrine, because they have a small ventilation in the latrine, but that is actually closed. When inquired about it, they were telling there's a house very adjacent to it, like not adjacent, behind it. So for privacy reasons, they have closed the ventilation. So next slide. Talking about the waste management and sanitation, When inquired or taken, when I took a proper history, they were telling they do practice-based segregation and management. First of all, they segregate their waste into dry and wet. For dry and wet waste, they have two separate bins, and both the bins are covered with a lid also. And on daily basis, they will hand over these waste to the BPMP Paurakarmika, who will be reaching onto the doorstep. Usually, this the Paurakarmika will be visiting in the morning, and sometimes if following any festival, they will come in the evening also to get the waste, so that there is no piling up of waste as such in the house. Coming to the diet chart, to mention about the calorie consumption, I've taken a 24-hour recall method. As everyone can see, there's a deficiency of calorie of about 235 kilocalories in case of head of family. While coming to the wife of head of family, it is about 270 kilocalories. And her index case, Arun, he has a calorie deficient of about 135 kilocalories. And Varun, who has a calorie deficient of 200 kilocalories, followed by the sister who has a calorie deficiency of 338 kilocalories. To consider the protein content, I found that this Arun, who is the index case, had an excess of about 3.94 gram, as well as Varun, the younger son, also had an excess of 0.7 gram, while the rest of the family was having a deficient protein intake too, especially the mother of the children. Coming to social and cultural history, social and cultural history, nothing is specific if I have written, because when I asked them what were like any social and cultural practices that recently had, except for the naming ceremony, they didn't have anything. And not to ask about the health side of it, this child, Arun, had an episode of ARI when he was 1 year old, following which he didn't develop any symptoms, though he is residing in an unhealthy environment. The external environment is unhealthy or insanitary. He didn't have any further episode, except the episode about which I'm going to talk. That is an acute superiority otitis media episode that he has developed. Coming to the psychosocial environment of the family is well adjusted to the community. They have debts. They are slowly paying it off. Other than that, nothing significant. Social aspect, the health problems, as I've said, this child, Arun, is being diagnosed of acute superiority otitis media, and he was on treatment. The health needs, according to me, is they need an health insurance and as well as a ration card, which they haven't availed. And the environmental needs adequate ventilation, lighting, and room space. Why room space means, as I have mentioned, there is overcrowding with respect to the number of persons per room. The health demands include availability of free medical services. Next slide. When KAP, when I asked her knowledge, attitude, and practice towards the healthcare or diseases, I found out that when I asked her regarding the diseases, for example, first thing that I asked was about this incident or this episode of ARI followed by acute superiority otitis media. She knew that what is the cause and what should be done. As soon as the child been diagnosed, she took him to the doctor. The doctor prescribed him antibiotics, which she gave as per the dosage requirement, and she had a positive attitude towards the disease and how to approach it. Not only with this disease, when inquired about common illnesses like diarrhea, even about COVID-19, she had knowledge and her attitude towards it was adequate and positive. And her practice was also satisfactory. But when it came to health insurance schemes, she didn't have proper information or knowledge about the schemes. And when I told her about all the schemes that she could have availed while she was pregnant, she was giving me an excuse that nobody has informed her like that. Though she was a registered case, but she was not being informed. So her attitude was also negative. And when I tried to convince her also, she was not willing even for applying a ration card. She said she'll think about it. So I felt the practice was unsatisfactory. So next.
Yeah, Dr. Aishwarya, just a moment, let me check. May I check with panelists, Dr. Sonu ma'am, Dr. Abhishek, Dr. Lalita, would you like to ask a few things to Dr. Aishwarya before we proceed further? Or please let me know, and in case you want to, you could take some questions, you can clarify, and then we can proceed.
I think let her finish the case. Will that be
Okay.
better? Yeah.
All right, as you say. Is that agreeable?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Coming to a preschool child, that is my index case. This is a child, as you can see, who's standing over there. So next slide, please. Presently complains, this is 3-year-old Arun, who was apparently healthy till 1 week back, after which he started having fever, which was insidious in onset, slowly progressive in nature, aggravated in evenings, and relieved on taking paracetamol. He had a complaint, following associated with this, he had complaint of severe bilateral earache and watery discharge from both the ears. And he also gave a history of pain behind the ears as well as on the neck. And when trying to touch, it was painful. That was a swelling behind the ear. When trying to touch, it was painful. This has been started for the past 5 days following the fever. So no history of bloody or yellowish discharge, playing the rain, traveling, or swimming. Past history, his mother gave a history of cold and cough for 2 days prior to the onset of this fever. The family history, no other members in the family suffered from similar illness, and family history is not significant. Coming to the birth history, as I've said, they got married in 2018, following which her last menstrual cycle was on June 20, 2018, after which she gave a UPT, which turned up positive. She went to her hometown, where she was registered. And for the initial 6 months, she was at her hometown only, where she registered in a government hospital, and she was following up a regular AMC checkup over there. So her antenatal and perinatal period was uneventful. I have to mention, she's not a book case. Why? Because she kept on changing the hospital. She was in her own house, after which of 6 months she came back to her husband's house. While she was in the husband's house, she went to the nearest referral center, which is Sri Rampura Maternity Home. And there also she consulted the doctor for 2 months, after which she was showing in a private clinic. But for the delivery, she went back to Sri Rampura Maternity Home for delivery. As you can see, the date of birth, the child was born on 31st of March 2019 through normal delivery, weighing 2.7 kg. The baby was healthy at the time of birth. The baby was roomed in after 2 hours and breastfed within 1 hour. He passed both meconium and urine after 1 hour, and he is immunized till age. Next slide. Coming to the diet history and breastfeeding details, the child was being exclusively breastfed for 6 months, and she started weaning by the 7th month and started him on complementary feeds. As per history, she breastfed him only for 1 year, after which she stopped or discontinued. And currently he takes a mixer diet. Though he takes a mixer diet, as you have seen in the previous slide, he has calorie deficiency, but protein content as per the diet that they have. The protein content was enough, adequate for the diet. So next slide, please. Coming to the immunization history, as you can see, this is a big table, and this is a table which gives information regarding the birth doses as well as the immunization status of this child, the particular child. This is when he has taken the vaccine. So as from this, I can decipher, or I can come to an inference that the child has been immunized till date, and I've seen his BCG scar. Also, he's been followed up regularly, and I've taken. So next slide. This is the image of his thigh card, or the MCP card. Sorry to say, the last 16 to 24 months vaccine is not been written in this. It's why, because when I inquired about it, but this was given because she has taken the child to her hometown. There, the Anganwadi worker as well as the ANM has provided this. Anganwadi teacher provided the vitamin A, while the other doses were taken there, and she didn't have the card at that point of time. That's why it is not written in that. I just confirmed it with the Anganwadi teacher where she is currently residing, and it turned out to be true. So the child is being immunized till date. Developmental history. This child has a normal developmental history. No development delays were noticed. As you can see, as many of 90% of the children, he also had all developmental milestones acquiring to his age. To mention in particular, currently he is in the 36th month. As I've said, yesterday was his birthday, 3rd birthday. So he's in the 36 months running. He has a tricycle, but he's not very pretty good at riding that. Other than that, all other factors were well, and he's been there are no developmental delays noticed. Next slide. Coming to the health habits, to mention, he has good health habits, except in case I have to say about brushing of teeth. He does only daily once. So I have to counsel him and his mother, and they agree to do it twice a day. Then hand washing was practiced before food and after using toilet. Bathing daily once he was doing daily once, and he seek the help of his mother to bath daily. Hair was kept neat and tidy. Nails were clean and trimmed, and he uses footwear while stepping outside. To mention about the ears, I have seen, I noticed whitish water discharge in both the ears with swelling in the post-auricular region as well as in the cervical neck. Coming to the examination part of the child, the anthropometry, the height which is expected for his age of being 3 years is 95 centimeter and observed is 93 centimeter. Weight is expected for his age is 14 kg while observed is 13 kg. Mid-upper circumference expected is more than 12.5 and observed is almost 12.5. It's also 12.5. So for me, I will say the child is normal for his age. So the anthropometric findings are corresponding to the age. This is the growth chart that I have plotted. As you can see, the cross mark which I have indicated is where the weight for height for this boy is being marked, and it falls in between -1 and -2 standard deviation. Coming to the general examination, I am presenting 3-year-old Arun with a height of 93 centimeter, weight of 13 kg, pulse rate of 80 beats per minute, and respiratory rate of 18 breaths per minute. No pallor, ictus, cyanosis, clubbing, and edema. And he was sorry, there's a mistake. He didn't have an episode of fever when I was examining him. But then I noticed found bilateral cervical and post-auricular lymph nodes palpable, and they were tender. Head to toe examination, except for the ears and the lymph nodes, all other parameters were normal. To mention about the ears, there were bilateral watery discharge as well as cervical and post-auricular lymph nodes were palpable. Systemic examination was comparatively normal. To mention cardiovascular system, I could hear S1, S2, and there were no murmurs. Respiratory system, normal vesicular breath sounds, and per abdomen, it was soft and no tender, no organomegaly. Central nervous system, no focal neurological deficit. So coming to the clinical social diagnosis, I'm talking about, this is a case that I'm presenting, 3-year-old Arun residing at MK Nagar slum, residing in a joint family with 5 members, belonging to grade 4 upper lower socioeconomic status according to modified Kutusami classification 2021. The house in which he resides is inadequately ventilated, lighted, and overcrowded. The bacterium is present are mosquitoes and flies. He had a normal vaginal delivery. He was born healthy and attained developmental milestones in accordance to his age. He is immunized till date, and he's been diagnosed with acute suppurative otitis media since 7 days back and is on regular treatment. Coming to the preventive measures that I suggested to that family was like, I told them, I health educated them regarding how this has happened. It can be because of, as we know, the agent, host, and environment. I can point out some factors like overcrowding was present. And the mother also gave a history that he has developed an episode of ARI just before the onset of this fever. So all these factors point that the hygienic condition that the boy had residing in that house also can be a factor leading to the cause of ASOM. And I told her if she has taken a good step because she had this health-seeking behavior, that is when she has reported to the doctor immediately within 2nd day of fever, didn't wait for a much longer time. And as I have told her, he was started on antibiotic. And she also did a regular follow-up because my first visit was on the 5th day after initiation of this treatment, and I could see there was still this persisting water discharge present, though he was afebrile. So I asked her what is the next plan. Then she gave me an answer like, okay, she's going to take him to the hospital for the 2nd or the follow-up study. So I told it's a good approach that she have to give a follow-up to this child as well as prevent successive episodes, because ASOM can go in for CSOM, and as well as it can even affect the ear and go in for major illnesses, can spread to the brain as well as make the child deaf also. So these are the preventive measures in sort of like primordial and secondary prevention that I've informed her. Coming to the positive factors, as I've told, the mother is educated, so till 10th standard, though the father was not. At my first visit, both of them were there, but when I was trying to explain the things, the mother could take it the health aspects much easier because she was educated, and they are staying in their own house. That is not a liability for them in future. So that is one of the positive factor. The head of the family is the only earning member. That is a problem, but still he is still earning around 13,000 per month. And the child is immunized till date and exclusively breastfed, and hand washing is strictly practiced at their home. Coming to the negative factors, I could say this child being 3 years old is still not attending Anganwadi. The dietary intake, the calories are less. He brushes only once a day. That is another factor which I counseled them on. And he's been diagnosed with this acute ear infection with bilateral posterolateral lymph node enlargement. And to say about the environmental demerits, there are vector breeding sites present, cross ventilation is absent, and overcrowding was present with respect to the number of people residing per room. Coming to the advice, to the mother of the child, I advise her to ensure complete treatment or cure of the child, so that the child, as I've told, if not treated now, the child can go in for a CSOM. So first of all was to ensure complete cure of the child, to provide or to improve the child's calorie intake, look out for danger signs in the child, and reach out to the hospital if the danger signs are present or persisting. And I even convinced her to encourage child to attend Anganwadi. And the reason when I inquired when she was not letting the child go to Anganwadi was like the mother was afraid of COVID-19 transmission from other children to her son. So that is the reason that she came me. So I encouraged them, counseled them to make the child attend Anganwadi. To the family, that I have to say is improve their diet by adding more calories and to secure ration cards, so they will get other rations from the public distribution system, inclusive of the grain, cereals, and others. To eliminate the vector breeding sites, that is through source reduction. So as for that, she has mentioned that they are actively trying to close up all the drains and try for proper elimination of vector breeding sites. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Aishwarya. And now I request the panelists to proceed with their discussion, as well as if they want to clarify or ask some questions. Shall I stop sharing the slides? Is that okay?
I think Dr. Animesh, suppose somebody wants to see, maybe she can go back and forth, let the slides be there.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, but, yeah, Dr. Lalita can maybe start.
I think at the outside, I would thank the IMA and especially Animesh Jain, who's put in this effort and brought in us. I thank you, Animesh. I think this is one of the wonderful initiative the IMA has taken forward, because this will give a platform for the PGs to interact with a wider resource persons, and also it will be useful for many people. And we can get a different perspective of how the cases are handled in different parts of the country as well. I think pandemic has given an opportunity for us to accept this modality of online classes and online presentations. And I congratulate you on that. And also congratulate Aishwarya for readily agreeing to be on this platform. And I think all of you will agree that it's it takes courage for them to do this. And she has done a good job. Congratulations, Aishwarya. And I thank the panelists as well. Well, Aishwarya, I have just one comment to make. Maybe when we're using weaning, I think we should avoid using those weaning terminologies. I think because we have started using that introduction of complementary feeding, so that we just don't miss out on breastfeeding. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Abhishek, are you there? Sorry.
Yes, he's there. He's there. He's there.
Yeah.
Dr. Abhishek.
Yeah, I think I hope I'm audible, and I like to reciprocate the same comments which Lalita madam made for Aishwarya. Basically, it was a very elaborate presentation, and it indeed takes a lot of courage to present it in front of everybody. So that's highly appreciated, and the details with which and the understanding with which she tried to present, that's really commendable. Maybe one comment from my end. It's primarily coming from the space of early childhood development in which we are working over last couple of years. So maybe I would have also loved to hear that part in her family study, that what is the amount of time that the parents are spending with the kids. We have two kids, one who is 3 years of age and another who is around 1 year of age. So how are the parents engaging with the children? Because that is what the science informs us, that apart from the nutrition for the bodies, the psychosocial stimulation which we are able to provide to the developing brains, that makes a lot of difference. So I could not find much on that aspect. Otherwise, I think it was a very detailed and elaborate presentation and very commendable.
Thank you, sir. To mention about that, actually, as I've told, this father being a BPMB auto driver, as we know, he goes in the morning and he'll be back by around 11:30 in the house. He's in the house only, and evening also he'll go for 1.5 hours of work, and rest of the time, all the family members, including the sister of the head of the family, at the house only. So most of, I could say about 80% of a day we are spending along, the children are with their family members. And one thing that I have to say is that this child is not been sent to Anganwadi. So when I asked her, like, does he know how to read, or like just he speaks how much? Because I was expecting that because of a peer interaction is less, he'll have some lagging in speaking or speech. But then she initially, even I thought so, but then later by the end of the day, when I was about to leave, he was much interactive with us. So I got to know that, okay, fine, the interactive and the family bonding as well as the family time that they spend with the child is productive.
That's really nice to hear. And I'm just curious to understand, were the Anganwadis functioning in that region? Like particularly in Maharashtra, it was a strict instruction that children should not be called to Anganwadi, and whatever supplementary nutrition they had to provide, that was being provided by the Anganwadi workers through home visits. So the Anganwadi workers were visiting home. So I mean, were the Anganwadis functional? And if yes, then that could be that could go against whatever.
Yes, sir. Yeah. To answer this, hello?
The family, that they are not sending their child to the Anganwadi. Anganwadi is not functional over last couple of years. Family should not be hold responsible.
Hello.
For that. I'm not sure.
Sir,
Dr. Abhishek, your voice was breaking in the second part.
Of our country.
Your voice was breaking in the second part, Dr. Abhishek. Aishwarya, could you get that? Could you get that?
Can I answer?
Yeah, please answer. Please answer.
Sir, as you have know, like most of the people from Karnataka, they'll be knowing that, yeah, initially during the peaks of COVID, from 2020 and 2021, it was the government has asked them to keep it closed. But late, as sir has said, they were giving take-home rations, like the Anganwadi teacher was providing rations to the households for ANC as well as for the kids who were registered under her. But to say currently, it's been more than, like, I think 6 to 7 months the Anganwadi started working, and we have gone to the Anganwadi to see whether it was working or not. It was working and could see the children over there. But the point is, like, this family, this mother has didn't do the initiative of taking the child, and at least one visit she hasn't even taken for him to the Anganwadi, and they're not availing any services from the Anganwadi too. So Anganwadi is currently working, but this child is not being sent to the Anganwadi due to the fear of COVID transmission.
Okay, I'm sorry for the internet. The Wi-Fi dropped at my end, so I'm not sure if all my comments were heard, but I could hear the explanation that Dr. Aishwarya gave, and I think that's fair enough.
Thank you, sir.
I think that is it from my end as of now. Sonu madam, please.
Yeah, thank you. Dr. Aishwarya, first I must commend you for, doing this presentation. Yes, as everybody said, sorry, it takes guts and you did an excellent job. You did a very detailed presentation and I really appreciate. Before I comment, there is comment from Dr. Rajana. What is the dependency ratio and what is the vector breeding place present? Can you just answer that?
Okay, sure, ma'am. To talk about the vector breeding sites present, as in my image, I think, can I go back? Okay, fine, I'll tell. In the some of the images, it was evident that there were drains which are running on either side of the houses. I mean, the either side of the road, and these actually were like the sullage drains. And what I could say was like, initially on the first visit when I made, it was properly covered, neat and tidy, and I could infer that the external environment was healthy. But later, when, as I've said, because of some renovation work which was going on, most of the drains lid or the slab on top of the drain were kept open, and we could actually see the stagnant water inside it. First thing. Second thing I could say is the domestic stray animal, that is cow, which was lurking around in the street. As we could pass by, we could see the cow dung being shed, like present on the street in midway. And as we know, cow dung, as soon as it falls, cow dung is a major source of for houseflies to come. It attracts houseflies. So I could, sorry, the photos are not clear because we couldn't see it through the camera, but to our eyes, that was the first thing that we noticed as soon as we entered the house locality.
Thank
Dr. Dr. Aishwarya, you want any particular photo to be shown? I have tried to go back to that external environment slide, but
So it's not actually in the slide itself. If you notice, just before that, grandfather who is in front of that grandfather, you can see a black thing that is lying on the road. That is cow dung. So this is what has this photo is taken as soon as we were about to reach the house. So that is an evidence that even the stray animals which are being lurking around the street, this cow dung was there in the street, and then this was one of the major source of fly being attracted and breeding site, as well as the drains which were kept open, so it could breed, it could allow the mosquitoes. So sorry, in this image it is not that clear. I couldn't take a proper one. Sorry.
Dr. Aishwarya,
Yes,
who is
sir.
that fourth person in that particular family? How is related to the head of the family?
The head of the family, the wife of head of the family, and their two children. And the fifth person is the sister of the head of the family.
How is the psychosocial environment in the family?
Yeah, even I asked about that. To mention, I felt happy after asking those questions to that family, because when I asked about that sister who is even unmarried and 22-year-old female who has just completed her second PUC, the answer that I got was like they were having a good family bonding and family relationship between the wife of the head of the family as well as with the head of the family. And as an explanation, the head of the family gave me a response that they are just 1 year different, and they're more or less like a sister and like sisterhood they were having. One more thing is like, as I've mentioned before, the head of the family as well as the sister of the head of the family, they were residing in this house for more than 26 years. She is 22 years. I think around when she was 3 years old, she lost her mother. She was expired because of a sudden cardiac arrest, following which the father abandoned them or the father left them. So as soon as this sister-in-law came in, they were having a proper family bond, and there were no issues between.
How about the substance use disorder in the family?
To speak about any substance abuse disorder, from history-wise, I couldn't make out. Even by giving an examination or viewing the internal as well as external environment, I couldn't make out. When asked about alcohol intake, both of them, the husband as well as the wife, denied. I tried to ask about the use of tobacco, smoking, etc. But still, they were like, they don't practice all those things and they don't have the habit of doing it. No other history of drug intake or nothing.
There are two questions in the chat, if I could take with the permission of the panelists.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so there is one question which is in the chat, which is coming from Dr. S. Ponnarasu. He or she is asking that for overcrowding in the house, what will be your suggestion or advice to improve the living condition?
As I have mentioned, sir, this house is belonging to the urban slum area. So even if I tell them to increase the room size or to provide cross ventilation, in order to avoid overcrowding, I have to generally ask them to increase the room space or else add on one room, but that is not practically possible for them. But in my second visit, when I told them this can be the reason that the child has acquired this infection, this can be a reason. And as I've told, when I asked about this family planning also, she said she is going to do family planning after a family function. So later at the end, she told me the family function that they're looking forward is to the marriage of this 22-year-old sister of the head of the family. So, so they were telling like when she goes, I know still there is overcrowding present, but I could ask them is inquire with the Urban Slum Development Board and seek help from them to improve the spacing.
Right. There is one more question which comes from Dr. Rajanna. He is asking, what is the reason and is the child going to Anganwadi or is it going to KG?
Sorry, sir, I didn't get the last part. Is the child going to...
Is the child going to lower KG, etc., or not necessarily to Anganwadi? And what's their religion?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. First of all, the religion, they are Hindu by religion. And the child is not going to Anganwadi or any pre-KG sessions. The child is at house only. And I could say the non-formal education that is being provided by the sister of the head of the family as well as by the mother of the child.
There is also a question when she's using LPG. Dr. Kirti is asking, when she's using LPG, why so much of emphasis on the smoke vent or the smoke outlet?
Yeah, when we use LPG, it is a smokeless type of kitchen. But even for cross ventilation as well as cross ventilation is required. To mention something specific, as we being South Indians, we use most of the food which can be dry food, like we'll fry it. So at that point of time, even how much ever we try, unless we use an air fryer or something, there'll be smoke which will be produced. And this total living space area of this house is 80 square feet. So we can imagine when we try to cook for this 5 people, and if we try to fry something, obviously, and for sure there'll be some smoke which will be produced. And to mention, the first visit when I made, the ventilation was closed. The small window which they had was closed. And in the second visit, I could apparently take a photo because it was open. So I think it do play an important factor. And in such a closed space, if children getting exposed to such toxic fumes, they can also trigger some sort of ARI in them.
Right. There are 2-3 questions I'll take from YouTube chat because this is being streamed on YouTube Live as well. And we had a good audience there. So there is one, Dr. Balaji Selvaraj is asking that is the required dietary that intake calculated using 24-hour recall method? And for family study, is there any other method or this method should be used?
Sir, actually, I have mentioned, I have used 24-hour recall method. and we can even use for a proper, as we all know, this is not a proper method of getting data regarding the dietary or the nutritional status. But because of the time constraints, I could take only a 24-hour dietary record. Other methods which we can follow is a dietary cycle pattern, in which we are taking the dietary cycle or dietary history for almost 7 days.
Okay. And related question is, how is the nutritional status that comes from the chat from Dr. Shobha? So is he having a deficiency in calories? So if so, what is the nutritional status?
Yeah, as I've mentioned in the slide, he's having calorie deficiency, but the protein content, as per the history that he's consuming, it was sufficient enough. And for the calorie intake, I've advised them to, because they were taking as history-wise, they have given me a vegetarian diet, because the day when I went, the previous day, they followed a vegetarian diet. So I asked them, first of all, to continue the diet, whatever they are taking in surplus, like in little more quantities. And if that are possible, increase the frequency of the feeds with small quantities, but the frequency can be increased. And I actually advised them, because they told me that they were taking chapati and idli as breakfast and dinner and that day. So I told them to increase the number of chapatis with the curry that they were using, to increase the quantum of the curry that they can use, was being suggested to them.
Right. There's another question by Dr. Abhishek Jain on YouTube. What about the environmental condition around? And is there any data available on pollution from the local administration?
Sorry, sir, the second part, is there any data?
Is there any data on pollution which is available from the local administration? Do you have any data about pollution in that area?
As I have said, this is a slum area, and just right next to it is the railway. I mean, the railway station, which is right behind this slum. Except for this noise pollution and the garbage disposal, I couldn't. That is obviously the garbage disposal causes soil pollution as well as water pollution. Other than that, I couldn't make out any air pollution as such from that area.
Okay, so just two questions I'll take, and I'll hand over to panelists. So one is, there is a 1-year-old sibling. So is he also at a risk of developing the disease? If so, what can be done to prevent? And the other question I'll ask now itself is he getting supplementary nutrition from Anganwadi?
To answer the first question, as I've mentioned, the second child, Varun, who was 1 year old, actually, he was also been exclusively breastfed by the mother, but then later she started him on with complementary feeds. And for him also, now he is 1 year old, after which she stopped breastfeeding him. So he's on complementary feeds, and he started having food from the common food pod. Okay. Then the second question was like,
is he getting no?
He's also not been registered to the Anganwadi. He's not been sent to the Anganwadi, and he's not availing any services from the Anganwadi. Both the children are not being sent to the Anganwadi, sir. Right. And even you asked about the chance of getting infection. Yeah. So about that also, I mentioned her, like, as I've said in the preventive measures, I suggested her, her approach till now and her practice is fine and good, but to protect the next child also from developing these symptoms and these diseases, she should take action and be very cautious enough to see that they are having good hygienic environment.
Thank you. I request Dr. Sonu Subba ma'am to take over, please.
Thank you, Dr. Animesh. First, let me thank IMA Karnataka State Board for such an excellent initiative, actually, to present a case like this. And I thank Dr. Harisha Delatabettu, sir, Dr. Prasad, and Dr. Suresh, sir, for being there and really, encouraging everybody. And of course, Dr. Animesh for really doing this, and Dr. Aishwarya has done a very good job. And what I felt was she has really answered almost everything, I think. And there were a few queries from the audience, which I thought overcrowding, what to do with overcrowding. Yes, we cannot increase the space, but why are we bothered about overcrowding? We are bothered about overcrowding primarily because it causes, overcrowding causes immediate transfer of diseases. Vitiated air makes us more vulnerable to diseases. And how can we reduce that? There are other methods. If they can just put an exhaust fan, just one exhaust fan, and that's good enough to take care of that part. So there are not always, straight away measures to take care of certain things. One is that. The other thing was, this is to Dr. Aishwarya and to everybody, all the PGs who make this sort of, it's a pitfall for us actually, because of the time constraints. All the time students are told to do, and they do take 24 hours recall. But the chance of error during 24 hours recall is very high because it's just what they have eaten the day before. But and especially when they take clinic based, it becomes very, very erroneous, because sometimes they are admitted, suppose they are in NRC or in the hospital. When you take a short case, if they're in the hospital, they'll get a hospital diet. It's perfect. But that's not what we are supposed to take, not 24 hours. You're supposed to take what is in a typical day, what does the child have or what does the patient have? That is one thing. And whenever you do a 24 hours recall, there'll always be some error, either deficient or excess. Mostly deficient it comes. So what, as MD students, what you have to do is you have to corroborate it with the anthropometry, because very frequently I see they will say the patient is 1600 calorie, 800 calorie deficient. So I have asked them to increase the diet. And then you look at the patient is almost overweight. So that's what I see. So please, and sometimes on the other side, it has also happened, this happens less often, that the patient was taking excessive and I told them to reduce, and the patient is actually looking like extremely lean, underweight they're looking. So this happens when you do a 24 hours recall. So I always advise you, when you do a 24 hours recall, please corroborate with the BMI of the person, family. And when you show the child, Dr. Aishwarya, the child looked good enough. And if the calories were that deficient for the adults, I mean, it would have been better if we could have, had the photograph of the family, if possible. That would have been really nice. Yes, with the eyes covered. So that was one thing. And in our program, we generally take, I'll just tell a few things that I have noticed. We generally take weight for age under our program. So because the card was there, the immunization card was there. So I wonder if because what you showed us was weight for height. Now, for this child, it's not that much of a problem, but if there was stunting and you took weight for height, you probably would not detect the malnourishment. So that is one aspect. So if so long as the height is normal, it's fine. But we generally take weight for age, and and this is supposed to be plotted in that MCP card. So I wonder whether it was plotted or not. And it's not uncommon to find blank MCP card in many places, because I have been to one of the PHCs here only not very long back, and the cards were blank, beautiful cards, weight for age cards, blank. So we just asked the not even Anganwadi, the ANM was there, and we asked her to plot, and she didn't know how to plot. So that is a systems deficiency. Yeah, okay. So there are those things there, and a few things and again, when you showed us the income and the distribution of income, it is better to it's better to calculate from the overall income. And the percentage, what you calculated was a percentage of, you did a very good job of everything, but just one or two things, small things I'm just telling. I've calculated that whatever is remaining and whatever expenditure is happening, that percentage you took. Actually, if you want to know what is the catastrophic health expenditure, it was not there, because out of 13,000, only 1,000 was going. So you need to know what proportion of income is going for medical. So that is important, what is proportion. So it is better to calculate from the overall. And so what not nitpicking at the things. Whenever in community medicine we see a family case, we have to see it from the perspective of a clinician at a primary care level. We have to see it from the perspective of a public health expert. So what you can do. So like you had done a very good thing that you had listed the problems and you had listed the positive and the negative things. Very good. That's what we want. What are the things that are positive and negative, and what are the interventions you did? If you can just structurize the same thing, structurize the same thing in terms of what were the risk factors for this child. One of the major risk factors for this child, the child had ARI just before that. And we know that ARI and ASOM is because of the eustachian tube. The children with ARI is more likely to have ASOM. So that was one of the, so we have to categorize the risk factors within the child, within the family, and the community. So the community you had within the family, there was overcrowding, there was no ventilation, and there were probably, you had written somewhere, there were flies around the house, which is all going to contribute. And in the community also, there was no proper disposal of cow excreta. There was the drains were not covered. So though you have to just categorize the same thing that you have written in terms of individual risk factors, family risk factors, community risk factors, and then what are the interventions you have done at individual level for this child. Maybe it was hygiene or whatever you have done. What are the interventions you did at family level? Whatever you give advice about doing this or doing that. So you said like about ventilation, you told them they can just make just put a exhaust fan that takes care of it. So like a family intervention. And then at the community level, what can you do? How can you help them? So as far as Anganwadi is concerned, this child, you said yesterday only turned 3. So for preschool education, the Anganwadi, they 3 to 6 years goes, number 1. Number 2, they don't have ration card. So without ration card, to get registered in Anganwadi is not easy. So that is also, you have to see. So as a public health person, you have medical social workers with you. So what you have to do is not only advise them, but also facilitate them through your health, through your medical social workers. Help them advise them. They may not know the process. Help them to get the ration card. Help them to once they get the ration card, then they should know what are the process of getting services from Anganwadi, how to register. That is one aspect. The other aspect, you very correctly pointed out that there was no insurance, health insurance. Oh, Karnataka has even national level. We have a lot of health insurances and health assurances given by the government, as well as you have lots of, I think Yashashwini started from Karnataka, one of the very, very famous private health insurances. So there are lots of health insurances Karnataka. So you could have, you can still do, you can actually this is what I always tell my PGs that it's not enough to know what health insurances are there and how much money is covered and how much which sickness is covered. It's not enough. We as public health people have to also facilitate the people, the population. So what you can do is take your medical social worker, ask them to go and find out which schemes are available for those people in that area, in that particular income group, which diseases are being covered, and how can they, what are the papers that are required. Because you need to know what exactly the papers are required, and then the medical social workers are supposed to help them get that. And that is how I think we can actually help. So you did a very good job, how what were the risk factors within the family and the community environment you commented. I really liked it. Thank you very much. Dr. Animesh, you can take over.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
you so much for your valuable information, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Shubha ma'am. It's been a pleasure, and I just see one comment here. I just see Dr. Delia has put up, Aishwarya took me into the MK Nagar slum. I loved her slides and the fact that she went into an investigative approach as to why the family did something or did not do so. So that's another compliment. I think you've done a very good job, and I really compliment Dr. Subba, Dr. Abhishek, and unfortunately our President, Dr. Harivansh Chopra, because of some change in schedule, he had to be traveling, so he couldn't be around here. But I think this has given us an opportunity to get so much of perspective from so many different people, and you've done an absolutely wonderful job. One take home I got from the last case presentation, Harish sir, before I asked you to come and thank people, I heard the psychiatry presentation, PG presentation last time, and in that, one of the very senior person, the chairperson was the moderator was talking about. He said that ideally we try to simulate the exam case here. So here I think you made 2 visits or maybe more. We should try and simulate that time that we will have within the exam time, and then how much you can get the information and present that. Of course, that may not be possible because here we're presenting with the slides and other things, but that's just to give you an idea of how exactly we go about doing a case in exam. But otherwise, very good. And I think it's a very good initiative that we had. And this will be archived permanently on the YouTube. So this will be a resource for other people when they have time at leisure. They can even review. So this will be a good resource. And thank you so much.
Dr.
To
Animesh,
all the
I just
panelists.
did one
Yes,
thing.
ma'am.
Sorry,
Yes,
sorry.
ma'am.
Before
Yes,
I
ma'am.
end, I just wanted to also suggest to all the PGs, so many PGs are listening, so why not? Whenever you have a case, it's always good to, make a diagram of maybe web of causation type of diagram. You understand? So, where, in which intervention you need to give maximum input. So that way it will really help you. Thank you.
Absolutely, ma'am. In fact, this evening, 5:30, when I was just driving back from college and Dr. Aishwarya had called, so I had suggested the same. But obviously, I think she was still in college, so this was a little late. But I had suggested the same web of causation, but no issues. I think we all learn. So thank you so much. And over to Dr. Harish, sir, for the vote of thanks and the closing comments.
Thank you, Dr. Animesh. We are coming to the fag end of the program. I appreciate the presence of our state president, Dr. Kudwa sir, the president-elect, Dr. Lakul sir, the state secretary, Dr. Prasad sir, and all the office bearers of IMAKSB, and the state working committee members and the subcommittee chairman as well. Now it is my pleasure. Indeed, we are very thankful to whole community medicine team headed by the national president, Dr. Chopra sir, and very senior consultant, Dr. Sonu Subba madam, Dr. Lalita madam, and Dr. Abhishek sir for finding some time to be with us, to sharing IMA platform in spite of your busy schedule. So we are very glad to be with you, and you are enlightened our students, our PG students, and IMAKSB is very grateful to you all. And I also thank the moderator, Dr. Animesh Jain, who is also part of our medical education subcommittee, and who is instrumental and responsible for conducting this webinar in a grand way. And I am very happy that more than 100 people and the students have joined in the Zoom platform, and there are many in the YouTube as well. So we are very grateful to all the students, the delegates, and I am grateful to the team for giving us this opportunity to enlighten our students. Thank you one and all, including our digital team and Dr. Aishwarya Gopal, a wonderful student, and she has put a lot of effort, and I think she got a good future. All the best, Dr. Aishwarya, and thank you one and all. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.